Well, yeah, but Sharon just reminded me, the other Sharon, the wiser Sharon, and ask for business.
For the business, yes. How about Joe?
I've run into several agents over my time with Sunstar that feel they've reached a plateau. I can remember a number of years ago where one of our agents said to me, golly, I think I'm gonna have to get a real job. I'm not making it at what I'm doing. And I highly encouraged her to give it just a little bit more time and to really concentrate on a certain type of property that maybe she knew more about, liked more about. She did stick with it. She is now a very top agent in one of the companies. Unfortunately, she's not with us, but it worked out. And I think the big thing is that you just have to concentrate on what has worked for you best, and maybe not spread yourself too thin.
Thank you very much, Joe. Okay, next question. We're going to start with the lovely Pam down here on my right next to me. How do you build a strong customer-based sphere of influence? We all talk about the importance of having customers because all of our wonderful tools don't serve you if you don't have customers to use the tools on. So how do you build that customer base, Pam?
Well, like Mike said, when you start, you have your husband, your spouse, your few friends, and to build on that as you get one cell, you always have to give your best customer service to each individual transaction as you go. Treat each transaction as a brand new transaction and not always treat each person the same. And then when you do that, your referrals will grow from that customer to the next customer to the next customer, and they'll spread word of mouth about you because you gave them that good, stellar service that you can't get anywhere else.
Excellent, thank you, Pam. How many of you use your just listed and just sold cards? That are free to you, by the way. So if you're not sending them out, you need to talk to your managers and your office administrators because that's another benefit of being here with the Schmidt family of companies. Okay, Emily, how about you answer that same question for me? How do you build a strong customer base sphere of influence? What's worked well for you over the years?
For me, I always, for the last 22 years, I send calendars at the end of the year to all my PRS. So every year I'm updating my past clients, and then I also send them to just my farm as well. I think it's important to have a farm, or you know, and if you have a niche, focus on that. You know, if that's a criteria that you're focusing on. Like for me, I speak Spanish. You know, I try to advertise some things in Spanish to try to help, you know, get that clientele that no one else can really get. So you want to tap in to the things that other realtors, maybe you have something that you can offer more, or in your neighborhood, like you said, being a specialist in that neighborhood. But marketing is important. I do as much marketing as I can. I just started forcing myself to do the videos online because every seminar and webinar and everything I'm going to is saying you have to do it. And I'm old school. I like postcards and, you know, Christmas cards and things like that. But so it is a transition when you're used to doing things, you know, the old-fashioned way, but the times are changing. So just constantly learning the new and using the new with the old. So I think it's a combination.
That's a great point. That's going to come up a little bit later. But how to survive all the changes for those of us who've been in the real estate business for 20, 25 years. It is a whole new world, from the MLS book that was under my arm in the highlighter and the back of the car when we had carbon paper and said press hard 3 copies, right? Yeah. We're in a whole different world. Okay, let's see. Number 5, what do you like most about your Schmidt family of companies brand, and how do you harness the power of your brand in your day-to-day business? How about Mike?
Mike needs the mic.
So I found this question a tricky question, because I go out every day and I'm promoting Mike Salad, because that's what I'm selling. I'm selling meat and what you get with meat. But behind that is the value that comes from the Schmidt family, and in my case, the Century 21 brand, which is, you know, there's similar value that comes from the big box brands in terms of how you can tell that to your, and share that with your customer, in terms of getting the exposure that's gonna allow me to help you either sell a place or allow me to help you buy a place. And so, you know, I don't put the brands at the front. I put me at the front because that's what they're getting. That's what I'm selling. But the brands are there to support why Mike is a good answer.
Excellent, thank you. Joe, how about you on that question?
I think that Coldwell Banker and the family of companies enjoys one of the best reputations that there is in the real estate industry. We get prospective customers from other areas that, we get a lot down here from Michigan that are, you know, and I say, hey, Schmidt family of companies owns our office down here, and they say, wow, I didn't know that. They're really big in our area. I just think the reputation is very, very hard to beat. We're very proud to be with Schmidt family of companies and with Coldwell Banker.
Joe still has an email address of expect the best. Who remembers that?
That was
Coldwell Banker
very,
slogan
very
from a
old.
long time ago.
Yeah.
Expect the best at Comcast.net. Okay, Sharon Kerr, how about you for that same question?
I want to piggyback on what Joe said. The power of having affiliation with Coldwell Banker Schmidt and having strategic office locations throughout Florida and Ohio and Michigan, and that is where quite a few of our relocation people come from, is very powerful. And the recognition from people coming from those areas already lends itself to you mentioning that allegiance. Your customers will feel familiarity with the branding, and it's something that as a Coldwell Banker Schmidt representative and realtor, I find there's a lot of clout behind that.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to move from there into the tools, and we're going to talk about your favorite tools. So let's start with Pam. Pam, what's your favorite tool offered by the Schmidt family of companies?
Well, I couldn't just pick one, so I decided that I like my Zap, my Express Docs, and my app files, because my app files keep me nice and organized. And BombBomb. I'm not that great with BombBomb yet because I hate hearing myself, and I hate seeing myself on video. But I think that's probably my favorite tools, and of course Susan, but she really doesn't belong to Schmidt. She does, but you know, for a long time we didn't have an office administrator, and then it's nice to be able to call Susan and say, hey, help me. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. How about Mike for that also?
Well, it'll be a little repetitive. So on Zap, I'm an ongoing project with Zap in terms of adopting it. But I've become convinced of the value that comes with it, and so that's a work in progress for me. When I started out, I actually created my own website, and I have come to understand that is far short of what I can get with that. And so I've abandoned that recently, and am now, you know, going in full force. And I agree 100% with app files. It's a great tool to help me run the technical side and the process side of every transaction. And it's a great tool. So those would be the top two for me.
Thank you. I have a new saying that I use with our customers that come through the office, and I say, let me introduce you to the new Z, not the Zillow, the Zap. So it's a fun little way for me to show them the tool, and then I say to my husband, could you please get this person in Zap, because no, he's much better at it than me. But anyway, it's a great way to kind of transition people. Okay, how about, let's see, I want to make sure I'm taking on everyone equally. How about Cynthia? That same question, please.
I am a Zapaholic.
Oh, good. Preach it, preach it.
I love that. I started using it from day one because I really did, being a new realtor, I didn't really know that there was anything else to use.
A little closer.
Is that better?
Better, yes, thank you.
Okay, so I started using Zap from day one because I'm not knowing the industry and all the different CRMs that are out there. I just started using Zap and I love it. And I am on Zap every single day. I get referrals from Zap. It took a while. It takes about a year or two before you start getting referrals. So, and again, just be patient. I do all of my follow-ups through Zap, which I love because it reminds me every day who I need to follow up with, who I need to call. So in the mornings when I get up and have my coffee, I have got my call list there in front of me, and I can just start calling people and emailing people, and it just saves me so much time. Just to be able to follow up with my customers. So it works. So if you're not using it, I highly recommend that you use it.
Thank you very much. How do you adapt to the fast-paced, changing world of the real estate business as we know it today? Joe, I'm going to give that one to you to start with.
Well, we feel it's not easy. If you've been in business for many years, you have to try to be aware of a constant changing industry and make the appropriate changes as necessary. It's really, I don't have a good answer other than that. It's not an easy thing to do.
Okay, who else would like to help me with that one? How about Emily?
It is challenging. There's so many tools and there's so much technology, and if you're not very technology savvy, you have to practice. I mean, most of it is technology, and I feel that for myself, whenever I have free time, I'm constantly, going to a lot of the Tom Ferry and all the heavy hitters and watching them and their interviews, and YouTube is great, and our CV site is great, JD is great, everything that, all the tools we have. And I think that Coldwell Banker does a great job with giving us so many tools that you can't even, master them all. But whenever you have free time, go to the CV site, work on, I love what you guys have done with how JD or the office set up the easy, the CV where you click on Ohio or Florida.
Schmidt Resources.
Everything is there at your fingertips, and it's so wonderful. That is the best thing out there. And they have videos, they have so many things. So just playing with that when you have free time, whenever I have time, I just go there and just learn a little bit more. Even if it's just 10, 20 minutes a day. Something to help you learn more, because it's all learning. Everything is trial and error and learning.
So thank you. How many of you are familiar with Schmidt Resources? Everybody? Great. Awesome. Okay. Who else wants to tackle change? Pam?
I think one of the biggest things is to always keep an open mind. Because one of the biggest things I hear from other people is like, I've always done it this way. I've always done it this way. Well, when things change, you have to open up your mind and listen and learn to what people are saying to you, because we're not back 30 years where the MLS books look like little telephone books. And you've got to come to today to not get into that stale position where you're not selling anything, or you're not going any farther, or not getting any leads. So being open-minded, I think, is one of the biggest challenges that a lot of people do have.
And I'm gonna add one more thing, and that's ask for help. You have a room full of help here. You have your office administrators that are now our agent service coordinators, correct? You have your managers. Some of us have other additional tech people, so don't be afraid to ask questions. The tools can be overwhelming. To be honest with you, I started just over a year ago here, and the tools were overwhelming for me, and I've been in the real estate business for 26 years. So you have to break it down. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Don't come in and try to fire hydrant all the tools, because it'll overwhelm you. But pick something that works for you and stick with it until you master it, and then move to the next tool. Okay, here's a question that I think we're all gonna learn something from. Do you feel you have good balance between your work life and your personal life? If so, please share your best strategies for creating life balance. And we're gonna start with Sharon N, because she looks like she has an answer she's dying to give you. She's the one that said, don't worry, we'll just wing it. I said, okay.
We will wing it, but this happens to be, I'm the worst person to ask this, so.
You're the best person then, because we all struggle.
It's, life gets consuming, it really does, and business gets consuming, and you give too much of one, and it's just, you lose it all, trust me. I have been there, done that, but I have learned to, separate. I mean, I do still answer texts at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, but when it's family time, phone goes away, okay? You've all heard it at the dinner table, put the phone away, but that's what we gotta do, you gotta put the phone away. And if I'm with Sharon, I'm with Sharon. I'm not answering my texts and answering my emails. And usually if you tell your customers that, you know, Sunday afternoon, I'm off, I'm out with that family, you'd be amazed at how many people just do not contact you. They respect it, they really do. But you gotta tell them and let them know, you know, and if it's every morning from 8 until 10, you know, just let them know, you know, I've got obligations every morning from 8 until 10. After that, I'm available anytime, but they'll respect it. That's really what I've learned to do. That's my tip.
Would it be fair to say that that evolves over the years you have in the business? Would you say as a new agent?
As a new agent, well, no, because I was pretty damn stupid. But it should be, you know, you have no money, you have no business, and and you go, when I came in 2005, I got there just in time for the market to crash. So, you know, we were all hungry, but even as a new agent, if I had known that, you know, and thought about that, I would have done that. And if I had known, you know, if it's a real, true, good customer, they're not gonna leave you because you're not available on Tuesday afternoon because you're doing something. You know, it's a really good customer. And if they don't understand that, then refer them to somebody else. You know, let somebody else deal with that headache, but get the referral, just in case they do go over the edge and buy something or sell.
Excellent, thank you. Actually, I think this is such an important question that I'm gonna ask all of you to address it. So Mike, we'll start with you and work our way down the table. Life, and your answer was so different than everyone else's, so this is good. It gives a really nice range of.
Well, my answer is gonna be different because of the way I'm wired.
Okay.
Is part of it. So, I mean, I'm a recovering type A personality. You know?
Recovering.
I've always been driven, work hard, and there's lots of pluses that come with that personality. There's trade-offs that come with that personality too. And the recovering part is my wife is actually knocking off some of those rough edges, but I still work my butt off. So in Venice, you know, and I know it's not unique, but just it's my experience. From January through April, I work 7 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day. I don't take a day off. And because that's our busy season, you know, so I'm committed to that. And then after that, you know, so to the heart of the question, you know, how do you get balance? And there's a part of me that reflects my personality. I go, I don't really know if it's attainable, but for me, and I'll just leave it for me. And that reflects my previous life as well, so and my current life. So for me, I don't know if it's really attainable. So the way I try to think about it is, you make time to work, and then you work, and then you make time to play, and then you play, and you basically have those priorities, and if you allow those priorities to commingle, then it doesn't work well. And so you got to figure out how to make time to work and work, whatever that is, and then when you say I'm going to play, then make sure you stick to that. Don't let work come crashing in. That's the only way I get some balance.
Mike, I want to introduce you to my husband. His name is Dave Conti, here in Fresno, and on Thursdays and Saturdays he plays golf. And he sings your song. I work when I work and I play when I play. So that's a Dan Elzer too, who remembers that swap, right?
Yep.
Work when you work, play when you play. Okay, Joe.
we don't separate our work from our personal life. Our kids are grown and live in other states, so we really aren't tied down to getting with them and grandchildren other than a week or two a year. We really enjoy what we're doing. All of our past customers are good friends. And the reason that we keep doing what we're doing, people say, when are you gonna retire? We really like what we're doing. We like meeting new people. And that we just mix work with play, and that's it. We don't try to separate it. We answer the phone every time it rings. We try to respond as fast as we can, and we're enjoying it.
Isn't it interesting to see how different you can be? Every personality type can be served here. We have somebody, a recovering type A, I can relate to you. I'll see you in class tonight. And then Joe, I can relate to that too, because we've done the same thing with lots of mixing of the two. So it can work any way you want it to work. Emily?
It took me about 20 years to finally find a little balance. I went from selling 100 units for 10 years in Ohio, 7 days a week, no life, no kids though. And now I have a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old. So, now my life is about them. And it's been an adjustment. I have a wonderful husband that takes care of them when I'm working. Sometimes, like you said, during the season, I gotta hustle. I'm working those 7 days a week, weekends. But when I can, and as much as I can, I'm taking those weekends off of my girls. And, I try now to focus on the 8 a.m. while they're at school till 3 p.m. do as much as I can during those hours. That way, the evenings, and that's by appointment only, is their time. So it's been a challenge in every day, they're my number one. But my customers are my family too. And I think that when you love what you do, it just happens. You don't do it for the money, you do it for the customers and the happy, day of giving the keys and the closing day. And it's just, you either love it, you're either meant to be a realtor or you're not. So, you find a way to balance. You find a way, but it is important to have, like I said, play hard, work hard. When you work hard, you need a break. Mentally, this job can drain you. So it's important that you have time with your family to just relax, or co-realtors to, talk to when you're having just one of those days you just need someone to talk to. It's nice to have, co-workers that you can vent to, so that's important too, and that kind of helps with figuring out balance as well.
Sometimes you need someone to talk to when it's not the person that you sit next to in your office, because you talk to them all the time. They've heard your song many times before. Sometimes it's good to just pick up the phone and call somebody from another office that you respect, that you've met at a meeting, and say, hey, I'm really struggling today, can you help me out? Becky's phone rings quite a bit, Kim's phone rings, all of my leadership team, there's things that I need to make me a better manager. So just lean into, don't be afraid. That's one of the winning differences of being here at Coldwell Banker and at Century 21 Schmidt family, is we have a family that wants to help you, wants to see you succeed. So don't hesitate to pick up the phone and ask for help. Go ahead, next, Cynthia.
Okay, so what I'm about to say, realize.
Stop the tape, Becky.
Just realize that as realtors, you have to be flexible. But with my personality, I have to have structure. And flexibility is important with my structure. So this is always a struggle for me. But this is what I try to do. In season, it's really hard to do it. But this is what I try to do. I work really hard Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. They are my full days. I work 12-hour days on those days. I schedule all my appointments on those days. I do all my open houses, I do all my floor time, anything that I can schedule on those days, that's what I do. I just do really, and to back up, I know how many contacts I need each week. So I try to get all my contacts done in those 4 days, which is sometimes hard to do, but that's what I try to do in those 4 days. And the reason is my husband works those 4 days, so when he's off, I want to be off because I like to moot, I like to fish, I like to go to ball games, I like to clean my house, get groceries, do laundry, have clean clothes. I like those things. So I make time for those 3 days. I don't always get 3 days. Because you always have to, I always answer my phone, I always answer my emails, that type of thing. But as far as scheduling anything, I try to do those 4 days. And I have to do that. If I don't do that, I am not productive. There are some people that can work 7 days a week. I am not one of those because I just shut down and I don't answer my phone. I just shut down. So for me, it works really well, and man, I am productive those 4 days. I get all my contacts in, I work really hard, and then man, I play hard too.
Isn't that one of the reasons we come into the real estate business is flexibility? And then we don't give ourselves any, because we work 7 days a week and we answer our phone and we don't stop. That's not why we got into being in business for ourselves, so that's really great advice. Sharon N.
Nope, I already did it, you guys.
Oh, that's right. It was so good, I want to hear it again. Sharon Kerr.
One of the greatest epiphanies that I had was years ago as a single mother. And I did not answer my telephone when it rang. Now, you have to remember back then we were using bag phones and pagers. So people would call your home number during dinner. What I realized was that when I wasn't always available, the customer perceived that I was successful. Wasn't necessarily true at that time. However, it was a huge epiphany for me. It also gave me or empowered me to recognize that my family time was equally, if not more important than my business time. To this day, I don't always answer my phone when it rings. If it's a difficult customer, we all have them, I make them leave me a message so that they are not backing me into a corner, and I have time to think about how I want to respond to them.
That's a good one. Very good one.
It's very powerful to not always avail yourself to your customers. It's also very important to your friends and your family that they have a relationship with you and that they feel valued by you. Because piggybacking on what some of the other folks have said, there are times when we need some support from our friends and our family, and if you're not there for them, they're not going to be there for you.
I want to piggyback on something Sharon said because it was another epiphany for me too. And that is the idea of letting people leave a message and giving yourself time to respond instead of react. As agents, we want to be reactive because we think that looks like good customer service. Somebody's got a problem, boom, 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 boom. Instead of, let me take a minute. How many times have you been busy during the day, waited till 4 o'clock in the afternoon to call the customer and they said, oh, we got that taken care of, right? And all day long you had a knot in your stomach because you're like, oh my God, this person's gonna drive me crazy. And it didn't even turn out to be a problem. We created a problem. So many times the key is just to learn how to respond. We do a lot of work with that in the office with the agents. Respond and don't react. And what Sharon is saying is true. The more perception is reality. So if they think that you're busy, that's a good thing because you're gonna treat them with the same level of care and confidence each time. You're gonna set aside time for them and they're gonna see why you're busy because you're putting the time into each customer. So I love that answer. Ms. Pam.
I had the same problem throughout the years. I just wanted to work and work and work and work. And then finally, one day, I started putting my phone on Do Not Disturb from 8:30 to 9 a.m. And I do not hear that thing. I don't hear the pings, the notifications, turn off my computer. And I went from the restless sleep at night to a nice, solid 6 to 8 hour sleep now. Because I'm not constantly carrying my phone, worrying about whatever's going on. And I think just turning yourself off for that period of time increases your productivity. Because you do have that chance to let your brain rest. And if I'm out with my friends now, I might take pictures of what we're doing at dinner, but I do not ever look to see what's going on in my real estate life at that point in time. I enjoy the moment with my friends now. And that's what I have to do to enjoy still doing real estate.
That's awesome, thank you. Yes, add-ons, definitely.
One of the things that through my, because before I was a realtor, I was a retail banker. And our production, our success in real estate is only one measure of success. So I want to be a successful wife, mother, grandmother. That's important to me too. So I know that we're talking about being successful in our production and our real estate life, but there's so much more things in life that we can be successful in.
Thank you, very good point. Sharon, did you have a?
I do. Just one little tip from the voice of experience with the do not disturb. There have been numerous days when I'm like, gosh, I'm not getting any calls, any texts, nothing. You gotta turn it off because you look at your phone about 4 p.m. and you're like, holy crap. Sorry. Oh, you can set it on that? I didn't know that. You learn something new every day. I'm not muted anymore though. I'm just turning the volume off.
I set mine on the timer.
This is a totally off-topic tip, but something that has really changed my life in the past couple of years. And that is, if you have a problem with anyone, whether it's a customer, a coworker, a family member, don't text or email about it. Call them. Try to get in front of them if you can. I can't tell you how many solutions I've been able to come up with because I'm looking at the person or talking to the person, hearing the sounds in their voice versus firing back texts and emails. It completely changed my business life. So just a thought. Okay, we are moving on to frustrations in the business. A couple of people answered this question using a percentage, so I think you have an idea of where we might be going with frustrations. So because of the Sherman antitrust, we have to be very careful that we're not speaking about numbers. We're just going to speak in generalities, okay? So anyone that answered that question this way, let's just remember we don't want to talk about commission amounts. So what is your biggest frustration with our industry today, and how do you overcome that and continue to move forward? And we will start with Joe. Keep the mic really close to you because we've got a full room. Thank you.
My biggest frustration for the past several years, particularly the past 3 or 4 years, it seems, there are so many new companies coming to our area, so many new agents that have not had the opportunity to get the training that we have had through Coldwell Banker and with Schmidt. Drives me wild with some of the agents when you're co-broking something with them and they don't use the forms they should be using, they don't fill them out, put a couple of names and that's about it. They leave so many blanks, it just, and you can't seem to get through to them sometimes. It just amazes me how little training, or maybe it's incentive to do good, that some other agents have, and it's a lot of the new companies that no one's ever heard of.
Take that a little bit further and tell me, in your experience, how you deal with something like that. You get a contract that comes in and it's missing everything it needs, and it's just totally not legally sound. What is your way of handling that?
I try to get them to do it. If I can't get them to do it, I do it.
Oh, okay. The truth right there. Okay. How about Emily on that one?
For me, I kind of specialize in first-time buyers. VA is one of my specialties. I do a lot of VA loans. And it's really frustrating for me at FHA it's frustrating for me that so many realtors don't put in the MLS VA approved, when the house is VA approved. I feel like a lot of people are biased against my veterans. So I, as a realtor that I am, a lot of times I don't care if it says, cash or conventional only. I still take my veterans. I fight for them. And it makes me feel so good when I can say to them, I just closed a VA loan, guys, in 18 days. Can you believe that? Quicken Loans did it. It was a miracle. It used to take me 60 days to close a VA loan. The industry is changing. Deals are closing fast. And I think that a lot of the new agents, especially, who have never dealt with VA or FHA, everybody wants cash. Of course we want cash. But let's help these veterans and these first-time home buyers get a house too. It's not fair that the cash people always get the good deals. I like to help the people that need the help the most. And sometimes it's harder, but they give you referrals. So I think that it's important. That's frustrating for me. So.
And isn't it true that our cash buyers expect more of a discount? If you're a first-time home buyer and you only have 3% to put down and you need the help with closing costs, are you willing to pay a little closer to the asking price? So if there's a good agent that understands VA and FHA and has a partner like Janet Jones, where is she? She's in my room somewhere. But, there's the education. That's what you're hearing. Educate, educate, educate. Because if you don't know what an FHA or VA home requires to be qualified, how are you going to help your buyers? I mean, I'm not going to point it, pick on anyone, but if I asked everyone in the room what it would take to be an FHA or VA qualified home, I guarantee I'm going to not get a lot of answers that are accurate.
Well, and the other thing is it's not the owners, guys, it's the realtors a lot of times.
Exactly, because they don't understand.
They're just shutting me down before we even get through the door, and a lot of times I'll call ahead of time, is there a reason why it won't pass VA? And then I'll say, is it a right of a show it, because I have a qualified buyer. It's the best program out there, no PMI, no money down. I mean, some of these guys are going 400,000, on a house. So it's just, like you said, educating, but also, the realtors need to not be so biased, and it really is a great opportunity for the buyer. It's like a great product to offer them.
And how do you, this brings another question, so if you have a situation like that where they've said it's only cash or conventional, but because you've toured the property, what's frustrating to me is when they haven't looked at it yet. And the place is falling down, and there's no appliances, and the pool is black, and they say, well, why can't it go from VA or FHA? Well, have you looked at it? But
I look at the photos. I zoom in on the photos. Photos are the most important thing out there nowadays for a realtor, because I like to do the legwork before I take my customer home. Paint. And I tell my customer, no way, it's not gonna fly. So you do wanna do your due diligence and research beforehand, so you're not wasting your time or their time.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, I want to get to the Q&A, so we're going to have the last question, then open it up for questions and answers from the audience. Please share your one golden nugget that you wish someone had shared with you sooner during your real estate career. And this is one I want from all of you. So Mike, we're going to start with you again. Your one golden nugget.
Yeah, I don't know how golden this is, but I'll share my experience. And so before deciding to go down this path, and part of my personality again, I talked to several realtors and tried to get my expectations in the right place as to what I was thinking of signing up for. And a lot of what was shared with me was very helpful in terms of expectations and setting up my business, and also how that was going to likely play out. But one thing, but one thing they didn't talk about is the full, what I'll describe as the full spectrum of humanity that we get to deal with. And in my previous life, I was dealing with just a sliver of that spectrum. Just because of the business I was in. I was in a high-tech business. And so it was a sliver. And so, you really have to brush up on your psychiatrist skills, which is what I didn't fully understand, because you're going to be dealing with the full range of emotions and the full range of characters. And while I had some of those skill sets, but it's a matter of making sure you're trying to understand what you have in a customer, understand what you have in a situation, and then adapting your skills to manage that situation. And that isn't something that, I guess maybe I should have expected it, but it was a learning and no one ever told me about it.
So psychiatry degree.
You better believe it, you gotta top people off ledges and all kinds of.
Joe?
I'll make it a lot shorter. I know that Sylvia and I have maybe a little different philosophy than some of the folks here, but we feel, our advice is, we feel it's a 24/7 commitment. And if you're gonna be successful, it works for us, and we do that. We feel that's very important. You're just committed to it 24/7. I know that many of you feel that that wouldn't work for you, but it has for us.
Well, the fact you have a wife that's in the business with you that loves it as much as you do probably helps a little bit too, right?
Yeah, and she tells me what to do too, so.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I'm shocked she wasn't here today to keep you in line.
She's actually.
She's working, I know.
She's putting a contract together.
Yes, awesome.
For me, I feel like honesty, just keeping it honest and trusting, and that really is, key, as well as, making sure their customers are pre-approved. Know your worth. If someone is not ready to buy or can't buy, don't take them out. You need to be wise with who you're working with and who you're spending time and taking your family and friends second because you're with them all day. If they're not serious buyers, because there's a lot of people out there that will waste your time. And if I would have known 20 years ago, I wouldn't have been taking everyone out unapproved, or because a lot of people lie. So honestly,
No.
the most important thing, get them approved with the lenders. They can, don't waste your time.
Just a little add-on to that as well, because it was a recent experience. How many people are dealing with people who own homes somewhere else that they don't think they have to sell before they buy one here, but suddenly they're in the process and they say, oops, just found out. It's just as important to ask people to qualify that look really qualified. Sometimes they're even more complicated than the ones that are first-time home buyers. So you cannot be afraid to call the question in terms of qualifying. That's such excellent advice. Sometimes we're so desirous to be busy as new agents because we're sitting there looking at the four walls going, what am I supposed to be doing? Because I don't have any customers yet. So it's like somebody called me, it's a live body, let me get in the car and drive around. That's not what you want to do, because you're developing habits that are going to stay with you for your career. So, Sharon.
Cindy.
Oh, Cindy. Sorry.
It's okay.
Leave me alone.
As a fairly new agent myself, what I have learned is don't feel like you have to go it alone. There's so many people who you can reach out to and talk to if you're having problems with a contract or you don't know how to handle something. Reach out to an experienced realtor, your manager. Don't be afraid to ask those questions.
Terry Hoyle. You can all call Terry Hoyle if you have any questions about the contract.
Yes, I love Terry.
Now I'm on to Sharon. Keeps me in line.
We're a handful, I didn't know that. I would say, don't take it personal when people basically screw you over, because they will. They will.
She didn't have that on the paper sheet.
There were a few other choice words I didn't put on the paper. But they will suck the life out of you. They'll let you drive them around all day long, and then all of a sudden they don't return your phone calls. Or if they do, well, they found something and they called the list agent because they felt like they were going to get a better deal. They're butts, just you can't help that. It's not your fault, not your problem, so don't take it personal. They're all out here somewhere.
Another great point that you just brought up. The key that we've been working on a lot in our office right now is educate, educate, educate. So if you know that this is what people are doing right now, they're calling a listing agent, when you have your initial appointment in the office with them for your buyers, you need to educate them on the things that are gonna happen. You know, I know a lot of buyers think that if they call the listing agent direct, they're gonna get a better deal, but in my experience, that isn't how it works. So if you get out in front of the questions, then they're driving around, they may still do it, but they're gonna think about it. They're gonna say, wow, this agent really knew what she was talking about. She told me this was gonna happen and it's happening. So you need to be able to be a good storyteller and explain to them why there's value in staying with one agent. So something to think about. Sure.
I'm going to piggyback on what Sharon Eichhofer just said. Don't allow yourself to become jaded. It's very easy to become jaded and to feel discouraged. You have to fight to maintain the control. People will remember how you made them feel. They won't remember what you did for them. So make them feel special. You're maintaining the control and it will be rewarding.
Awesome, thank you. And Pam.
My biggest golden nugget that I can give to people is to say that you need to remember that you're going to be the break it or make it moment for these people that are buying a home. And especially if it's a first time home buyer, you can ruin their experience of buying this home from your personality and your attitude. So if you find something that frustrates you, don't talk to your customer about it. Talk to your manager, your other friends, everything. But you gotta keep it in mind, they need to have a very stellar moment when they're buying this home. Because whether it's $100,000 home or $1 million home, they're going to always remember how it ended up with you. They're going to just keep that in their mind. So for stellar customer service, you need to make it a make it or break it moment for them, not yourself.
I love that. That's awesome. Wow, is this good information for everybody? Really helpful. Okay, we're gonna open it up. Believe it or not, myself, I'm gonna try to rush through so we can give him the time he deserves. So we're gonna open it up for Q&A. We've got about 10 minutes. Who would like to be first? I will run the mic to you, or at least I will move quickly.
I'd just like to know, in the very beginning, how much time did you actually spend working this? The hours and the labor that you put in?
So to be successful in your early years, we're kind of gearing this toward newer agents probably. How many hours did you actually have to spend to build a successful business as a leader?
24 hours in a day, probably 20.
Who wants to take that? Anybody? Grab the mic and go ahead.
I will attempt to answer the question. When I first started that first year, I worked a lot, all the time. And a lot of that was because you're still learning too. So it took me forever to put a tour together. A showing tour, hours to put a showing tour together. Now I can do it lickety split. So at the beginning, I think I spent more time on my business just because I didn't know what I was doing. I was learning so much, and it took me so much longer to do those things that now don't take as much time. So just keep that in mind. You may be working a lot now, but it's because you're learning. And as time goes on, you're not going to have to spend as much time on those things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I still struggle with my time. I still spend too much time.
Just make time for yourself. Because after a certain point, if you're like me, after a certain point, my brain just shuts off and I'm not productive anymore. So just schedule some time for yourself. Do something that you enjoy. Your business is going to be there 3 hours from then. You know what I mean? So just try to make some time for yourself. Otherwise, you're going to get burnout and you're going to get discouraged. And, that's not good. That's not a good place to be.
Well,
Don't tell me in this room of 100 people, nobody has a question until all of these agents. Okay.
Oh, I can't read it. Good. Have any of you had a scenario, probably had more than one, where, because I'm dealing with this right now actually, a contact that I had received through her parents actually. Her parents didn't know that apparently she had a friend that had set her up on auto email, and I didn't know obviously, and so I started chatting with her via text, and when it became clear to me that, you know, when I asked her if she wanted me to set her up on an auto email and start, you know, sending her ideas for homes in the area, she said, oh, my friend's already done that for me, and so I said, oh, right away, I said, oh, I didn't realize that. I don't want to step on any toes, you know, but she continues to contact me. She still wants my help, and her friend isn't here. She's in Sarasota or Bradenton area. And so I feel a little bit of a dilemma because obviously I want to help her, but at the same time, you know, it's a ethical thing as well. So how did you handle that?
Who would like to take that? Who's had that situation where people reach out to you, but you find out they're already working with someone? Mike?
Well, I've had that situation, and I just tackle it head on and go, if you're already working with somebody, I'm gonna respect that 100%, and I do not wanna undermine that, I do not wanna change that. But you have a choice, so it's your choice, who you wanna work with. And whoever you decide, I'm gonna be just fine with. But if you say you're working with the other person, then I'm out. I'm out. And if you wanna come back and get help and change your mind, then I'm with you. I'm gonna help you. But I make it real clear, I tackle it head on, and it's your choice. Pick somebody, pick a horse to ride and go.
Make sure the horse is wearing blue or gold, right, or beige or
Some black, something to make sure the horse is wearing clothes.
Yeah.
I have had this, and it doesn't work out as we want it always, but I explained to the customer, it's a violation of our code of ethics for me to interfere with the relationship that you have with another realtor. And I just put it in that. I mean, it's not, you know, don't want to work with you or anything like that, but I don't want to violate my code of ethics, and you have a relationship, you need to either terminate that or respect it. And I lose, but I win in the end.
Question in the back.
You know, why can't you just contact the individual and ask if the other real estate agent would work? Why couldn't you just contact her and explain the situation and ask, will your agent in Sarasota, Bradenton work on a referral with me? So if I find something for
There you go.
then I get a
That's a
referral
good one, too.
instead of just throwing it off.
right back here, everybody?
Yes, one of you mentioned maintaining control in the process. I believe it was dealing with buyers. So can you expound on that a little bit? How do you, if somebody's all over the place, keep them focused, I believe it was you. How do you maintain control? And when you talk about that, what exactly are you talking about when you say maintaining control?
Very good question. Did you hear the question?
No.
How do you maintain, he's heard you speaking about maintaining control of the buyer in the buying process. What do you mean when you say maintaining control? And how do you achieve that?
Keep bringing your buyer back, asking the questions, keep bringing them back to their box. Sometimes often buyers don't know what they want, and that is our job to figure out what they want. You have to do a lot of detective work sometimes and figure out what they're looking for. If you're working with a buyer and you're showing them 5 houses, and the first one you walk into is the city dump, and you know it's the city dump, and they're taking 20 minutes to decide where they're gonna put their furniture, you're in trouble. So figure out your buyers from the first time out with them so that you know what you're working with. And then maybe on the next home, you might say to them, if you walk into the home and it really doesn't feel right from the beginning, let's move on. Otherwise, your 6 showing appointments that maybe you booked out 2.5 hours is going to turn into 5 hours. That's your time. That's your money that you are throwing away. So what I meant by maintaining control is figure out what your buyers are looking for. And again, educate them. If they're trying to fit their furniture into every single house you're showing them, remind them that if they don't like the house in the beginning, they're not gonna like it on a second showing.
Okay, we're getting down to the end of the end. One more question before we wrap up?
So as a newbie, less than 2 months old, new into the area and real estate, my question is, like, when you have your first customer, which I have to learn not to say client, how do you know how much time for each house to show them? I mean, I know I've tried to do the qualification, show them places, look, like you say, at photos to make sure that, you know, you're kind of getting an idea. But when you do showing time and somebody lives there, how do you know when you're supposed to do it, what time, so that you're being polite of the people who live in the house as well?
Good question. Thank you. Thank you. Sharon, you want to take that again?
When you are interviewing your customers for the first time, a very important question, and I got bit by this 2.5 years ago, ask if there are any special needs. I pulled up to the hotel in Punta Gorda, and son of a gun, one of the customers was in a wheelchair. So my half-hour showing appointment time for each home, 4 homes to show that afternoon, turned into an hour for each home. And after 2 homes, one of the customers couldn't handle anymore, and that rest of the afternoon was washed out. So make sure that you ask if there are any special needs up front. You don't know how long people are going to take, but that's how experience will guide you into nudging them along. If the sellers, and we find that a lot here in Florida, the elderly sellers insist on staying home, remind your customers not to engage in conversation with the sellers. They are there to see the home, not to find out about their bills collection on the wall. I'm serious. So I would suggest allowing a half hour per home, no more. And if guide your customer, if they walk in and it doesn't feel right, remind them that they don't have to look at the home, that they don't like the neighborhood from the beginning, they don't like the house, move on to the next one.
Final word of the day.
When I'm going on showing time, I schedule the first appointment based on how far away it is. If my appointment's for 10 o'clock, they're gonna meet me at 10 o'clock, I will schedule the first showing between 10:15 and 10:45. I'll give it a half-hour window. But then everyone after that, I will schedule in 15-minute kind of increments like that. I will schedule the second showing from 10:30 to 11:30. I give it a lot of time in case you get caught. And then 10:45 to 11:45, 11 o'clock to 11, to 12. So I kind of do it in 15-minute increments, which it usually shouldn't take that long. But I've also had situations where we get tied up, you get delayed in traffic or something. So, and most sellers are fine with that 1 hour window, between 10 and 11. And usually you're there right in the middle, but I can tell you there have been times when I was pulling up, my appointment was from 10 to 11, and we're pulling up at 5 to 11 just because you don't know, there are unforeseen circumstances that come up. So that's how I usually do it on showing time. Does that help?
Thank you, Sharon. Well, I want to thank you sincerely on behalf of the leadership team for your extra time this morning. I hope you found it to be worth your while. We have a couple of more things before we wrap up, and that's first of all to thank our panel. I'm going to turn the microphone over to my fearless leader, who I fondly call Boss, for a special announcement.
Thank you. Let's give Kristen a round of applause. And thank you to you guys. It is truly appreciated. Kristen and I have several discussions about this process. I've done a lot of panels over the year, and over the years, and I kind of had some advice for her, and she just did a wonderful job. Because I've done the panels that have gotten a bit unwieldy and out of control before. This was good. This was good. So I get to announce something very special, a life event for someone that we all know, love, and care for deeply. I was fortunate enough 12 years ago when I joined Coldwell Banker Corporate to meet Mr. Don Randolph and begin working with him and consulting with him. And he became a mentor and a consigliere for me, and someone that I truly relied upon for advice and suggestions. He and I both had a consulting background and did a lot of similar things. But today I'm getting to announce Don's retirement from leadership and senior management with Coldwell Banker Sunstar. And you guys just got an email. I'm going to read just a tidbit of it to you. So when the Lord sent me a message regarding life with a cancer scare, I realized that my company needed to be carried on and with a caring and progressive leadership team, my friend the Schmidts. 6 years later, I've decided to really retire. It's been tough for me to come up with the right words to say, but I know I wanted to say thank you to the agents, staff, leaders, and Schmidts for the opportunity to be a part of your lives. I've been honored to be able to enjoy all of you as part of my family. My retirement begins June 1st, 2019. By the way, he is not here. He is at a golf tournament, so I think
He knew I was going to cry.
Yeah, he did say he was going to cry, so he didn't want to be around. But, however, I'm not leaving town, moving away, or not moving out of my office. I will continue to be an agent with the company, just like many of you. It's been a wonderful and fulfilling lifetime career for me, which allowed me to meet and work with all of you. Please feel free to stop by and visit anytime you see me in the office. I've always believed that if you wish for success and learn to enjoy living your life, then you must have passion for what you do. And as you know, real estate will always be my passion, and let's not forget golf too. But my greatest passion above all is Susie and my family. So again, this is a wonderful event in Don's life. We are extremely excited for him and for Susie. And as a result, we are going to be having an event, a celebratory event, if you will. Wednesday, June 26th from 3 to 6 p.m. We will be having an open house at the Cochran office, food, beverages. We'll be inviting, of course, all of us. The family will all be invited. But we'll hopefully be having some dignitaries, some folks with the board, others from around the community to come and celebrate that day with Don and Susie. So let's just, he's not here, but let's do a cheer for Don. Maybe. Yay, Don, we love you! Thanks, guys. Now we'll turn it over to Deanna.
Would you repeat that date and time, please?
Yes. It is Wednesday, June 26th. Somebody can double check me. 3 to 6 p.m. at the Cochran office.
All right, I'm kind of glad that Don's not here today because he announced this at our manager meeting yesterday and I was quite emotional, so I'm kind of glad he's not here. But he is one special person and I'm glad he's staying on as an agent, so he'll still be in our lives. It's very special. I'm going to bring Terry Hoyle up. She has a gift for our SAP contest to give out.
I do. How many of you remember the contest we had from April 1st to the 21st by entering your property insights? Yes. So for 3 weeks, we had 2 girls that won cups. Christine Mann and Monica Adam. Since there were the overall top winners, you also have a Schmidt Happen shirt coming.
All right.
Congratulations.
Monica's here. She's working floor right now.
Oh,
Fisherman's Village, so I'll bring this to her.
Okay. If you don't know how to enter your insights, property insights, Wednesday. Peter will be here from Paradise, and he will show you how to do that in the meeting that we're having from 10 to 1 at the 2421 Event Center. So sign up for that, and you'll learn how to do that because it helps your website rank, and it helps you get leads like Cindy talked about. The more you use that website, the higher you're going to rank and the faster you'll get your leads, and this is really going to help you do that. So thank you and congratulations.
Gary, send the invite out again.
Okay, we'll send that invite out for the event with Peter. So we have our Tiffany program at Coldwell Banker Sunstar Schmidt family of companies and Century 21 Schmidt Real Estate. And if you guys fill out one of these forms where you can suggest a person that doesn't work for us currently, but you think they would make a good agent with Coldwell Banker Sunstar or Century 21 Schmidt Real Estate, and then if we wind up bringing them into the company, you get a gift from Tiffany's. So I have extra of these forms here for you to fill out if you find someone that you'd like, or you can get them from your manager. And when you do that, we put your name in this little bucket, and we have a drawing for a $25 gift card besides the Tiffany gift. So even though you just take and suggest someone, you could get a $25 gift card. So I'm going to take and do, pull a name out. Hold on. Can I? Thank you.
Pam Civitillo.
Thank you, and thank you for being on the panel. So you get in the drawing, and now I have my Tiffany gifts to give out. And the first one I have is to Mr. Chris Russell. Susan, and they're working together out of the Cochrane office. Congratulations, sir. And next, this always warms my heart. I have one for Miss Jennifer Philbreck. And Jennifer, you heard Jennifer. And Jennifer just joined us not long ago. So congratulations. You look wonderful in your blue, by the way.